The largest fortunes in history belong to those who controlled the underlying physical and digital infrastructure of their time. The railroad tracks, the oil pipelines, the fiber optic cables. Web2 monopolies achieved trillion-dollar valuations by applying this same logic to digital connection. They built the highways of the internet and reached record scale by tolling every interaction. But the model of centralized connection has reached a structural limit. We have hit a technological bottleneck that the current architecture cannot solve. Digital life is currently trapped in deep fragmentation. You are forced to bounce between isolated applications to do your banking, another to chat with friends, another to work, and another to learn. This friction is more than a user inconvenience. It acts as a structural ceiling, preventing the global digital economy from evolving into a unified, efficient system. When you zoom in on the individual user within this fragmented system, the power dynamic is clear. You sit at the bottom of a digital hierarchy with no control over your own data. The economic engine of the current model relies on extraction. You provide the attention and the labor, while the platforms capture the generated value. This centralization traps billions of people in an inefficient cycle. They do the work, while the system consolidates wealth into a few corporate monopolies. With trust in institutions at record lows and global military spending hitting $2.4 trillion while infrastructure decays, the centralized model is clearly cannibalizing its own resources. The next step requires a shift towards decentralized empowerment. Whoever builds the architecture to bypass this extractive matrix will capture the growth of the next economic cycle. GAIGS acts as the foundational base layer operating system for a unified digital nation. It replaces the fragmented cluster of traditional apps with a single decentralized ecosystem that integrates all daily functions. Take a professional in a developing nation. They log into one unified platform to handle their networking, secure freelance contracts, and process global payments without relying on a third-party bank. Inside this system, artificial intelligence guides the user's career path. It maps their skill profile directly to global job demands and provides tailored educational modules to fill gaps. Simultaneously, blockchain secures their identity, verifies democratic voting rights, and processes payments instantly via smart contracts. By integrating these siloed functions into one transparent ecosystem, the platform removes the friction and the opportunities for corruption that define traditional systems. Solving the financial layer allows us to fix the human capital layer. The 19th century classroom model is too slow and passive to keep up with modern demands. We can contrast that passive system with the massive intellectual energy of the 2 billion global gamers who currently spend their hours in virtual escapism. The platform addresses this by integrating real-world physics, biotechnology, and engineering problems into engaging, gamified environments. Instead of pursuing fictional quests, gamers are tasked with solving actual scientific challenges. When a player generates a viable solution, it is peer-reviewed by the network. If verified, the solution is automatically funded and implemented in the real world. This multiplier transforms passive consumers into a mobilized workforce of scientists and architects. Moving from the technological mechanics to the macroeconomic reality shows the scale of this financial shift. Current monopolies reached $1 trillion valuation simply by owning the digital public square, built on social connection alone. An ecosystem that captures socializing, employment, AI infrastructure, and finance in one place creates a much larger gravity. Its compounding value dwarfs the traditional model. The system also utilizes the stakeholder advantage. By giving users direct equity and agency, it secures the kind of viral global adoption that extractive platforms can no longer maintain. Converting users into empowered stakeholders provides a competitive business advantage that centralized models cannot replicate. We are currently in a transition period in economic history. This shift to decentralized infrastructure is gaining momentum as the global governance market reaches $21 trillion, driven by a collapse in institutional trust. The question is, who will own the architecture of this new world? Securing equity in this decentralized blueprint allows you to participate in the growth before mass adoption. The transition to a unified digital infrastructure follows the same path as the leap from local barter to global finance. The decision now is whether to participate in the architecture of that transition or observe from the sidelines.